Listen, I'm just going to talk openly about it here because there aren't a lot of places on the internet that you can talk openly about this sort of thing. Videos are one of them. Videos, as far as right now are concerned, and likely the next 4 years, are a really high data rate, human readable format that computers have a hard time parsing meaningfully. And the only way that a large database search could parse a video like this is with automated translation and captioning, and frankly it's just too unreliable to be searchable in a useful way right now, so I'm going to talk about it here. The main content of the video will be in the middle of it, so that anyone who decides to watch the edges won't assume anything meaningful about the video. It is now day 4 actually, it's after midnight of the Trump presidency. There have been riots in the streets in every major city. There have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reports of kids in all schools from elementary to high to college treating each other badly, threatening to deport each other, bullying, removing of hijabs, a million other violent and terrible things. I don't know why I'm cold. It's LA at nighttime. And then, of course, misbehavior amongst adults as well, but you don't hear as much about it. Trump has not been elected yet. He won the Electoral College vote and not the popular vote. Hillary won the popular vote. The Electoral College does not cast votes until December 19th. There are 500 people, they're listed publicly online, and they can change their minds. And that may be our only saving grace. Trump, with his picks in the first 4 days, has solidified any hope that any of us might have had in terms of keeping an open mind and assuming that he would represent all people and not destroy the U.S. with his presidency. It's very clear now that the cabinet he will elect will be interested in reversing many of the most important decisions Congress and the Supreme Court made over the course of the last 4 or 8 years or more. And that's just the first 4 days. Today he attacked freedom of the press and the right to assemble, which I marveled at in all of its glory last night when I went to the Assembly protest rally with Eric. It was incredible that we were not arrested or stopped, given that the protest could have turned violent at any moment and didn't. The protesters were peaceful, and the cops were too, and it was just a really amazing time. Now, I know that didn't happen in every city. In some cities it did turn violent, but people were not arrested or stopped for a gathering, and that is a right that is special and wonderful and worth protecting. To have a president who attacks that on his 3rd day in office is not what we want, and is not what we needed to elect, no matter how much he speaks his mind or how much he's not an elite. My thoughts right now are that there should be a grassroots campaign organized to talk to 512, I don't know if it's 512, but 500 some electors in the Electoral College. All it would take is a friendly conversation for several hours with each of them to get them to sway or reconsider their vote. People listening to each other, caring about each other, befriending each other, that's what will swing the Electoral College, and probably nothing else. There's no social media campaign, there's no organized grassroots movement that needs to happen. What needs to happen is 500 individuals need to go make friends with 500 other individuals and help them consider the problem complexly and arrive at the only viable solution for electing a new president. Otherwise, maybe we can consider delaying the decision or having Congress or Senate decide, though unfortunately that would probably result in Pence or Ryan becoming president, which would be arguably less bad but still kind of catastrophic in terms of civil liberties, maybe not as bad. Those are my thoughts right now. I have no idea how to act on them, but those are my thoughts, and I don't know if I should act on them, and I'm terrified of what would be worth doing. I want to think that I'm imagining other people's rights being at stake. I would like to think that I'm imagining the end of the American experiment, but the conversations happening all over the world about the immediate aftermath of Trump thinking he has been elected president are unconscionable. They're terrifying. They are every indication that you would look for, and they are almost an exact representation of I mean, I really hate to make this comparison. It is, every time it's made, it's usually wrong, but this year the comparison has been apt and valid, and terrifyingly so. Having spent 10 hours in a Nazi museum just recently, I know that the first several months of Hitler's power in government looked exactly like what Trump wants to do or has already done. It involved a unifying of the party and branching out over all wings of government and levels of influence of essentially a single party of extremists. And we've already seen that happen. It's not something we have to worry about happen. We've already seen it happen. And it is crazy. So I don't know what to do, and I don't think anyone does. And I'm a little worried that people taking the time to figure out the right thing to do will keep us from doing something imperfect but worthwhile that might at least delay the inevitable. I guess I'm going to stop my rant there. I don't know what that means exactly, but I am very, very, very worried. I think I'm going to edit my video of the protest and try to write a post. None of that may come together. All of it may come together, I guess. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for listening and watching. I just am not surrounded by people who are worried about Trump's presidency right now. I mean, they're the sort of people that, like, probably aren't going to be affected by a Trump presidency in a hugely negative way. Especially economically, and it's just not the kind of environment that I want to be in right now, given that so much of the nation stands to lose so much of what makes living in the U.S. great for them. I should go. Yeah, thanks for listening, though.